a pleasure to have Miles Zuniga from Fastball on with me today. And Miles, you're going to be in town here shortly, not too long from now. I think it's July 23rd, and you guys are on tour with Sugar Ray and Bare Naked Ladies. And curious to know how the tour is going at this point. You guys are doing a lot of dates, like back to back to back. How do you do it? How do you keep the energy going?
I sleep. I try to sleep as much as I can. I just woke up now, like it's very truncated sleep. So we were in a hotel room this morning. I had to get up, and it takes you a while to get back to sleep. But the bus is cold and dark, which is ideal for sleeping. Try to do that, or you could go the other direction and just go crazy and not sleep and drink a lot of tequila. Both of them, sleeping works better, but the other one can work in the short term. If you got 3 shows left, you can do that.
Because we're all getting older, and I'm looking at your schedule, and your schedule's wearing me out, and I'm not even the one doing the traveling and playing. So
it could be very tiring. It's not the playing. It's because we're only on stage for half an hour, so it's not really the playing. It is the moving every day and lack of privacy and things like that. It's like you're kind of like you're in the army, sort of. I've never been in the army, so I can't say. But just that kind of living on a submarine type of thing, and being around a bunch of people every day, kind of a moving group of people, like 40 people or more. I don't know how many people are on this tour.
It's funny you say being on a submarine, because my brother was on a sub at once, and I got to go and do the tour, and it was, I mean, man, it is everything you think it is. It is as suffocating, and if you've got any kind of claustrophobia, you might as well forget that line of work, because that's a rough one.
Yeah, I think so. I'm sort of uniquely suited because I've always liked seeing new things. I'm an extrovert as well, so normally a bunch of people around makes me really happy. Normally,
Yeah.
So I'm good at it.
Well, so you guys are, like I say, you're on tour now. It's Bare Naked Ladies. It's you guys and Sugar Ray. And how much interaction do you guys have? Do all the bands have when you're on tour? Does everyone stay separate, or do you guys do a little hanging out, or how's that work?
No. In fact, I try to avoid Sugar Ray's room so I don't end up, in the hospital, because they've got a party going on over there, and we've toured with them many times. I used to go to their room directly because that's where the luau is. Oh. And now I try to avoid their room because that's where the luau is.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Bare Naked Ladies aren't that wild, but they're super nice. And me and Kevin from Bare Naked Ladies like to share a glass of wine every now and again. That's a much more civilized environment.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, so what I was curious about? So years ago, you guys were on, what doesn't really exist anymore, Hollywood Records, and I was curious to know, one of the selling points to get you guys to join Hollywood, to sign with Hollywood, was that Queen was on the label. Did anyone come to you and say, "Hey, we got Queen"? Is that how they kind of did they talk you in?
No.
What was the way to get you guys to sign to sign?
It was pretty simple. Nobody else wanted us. If you're going to the prom and no one will take you, or they were the only ones who were interested in us. And when you said, I don't think they exist anymore, I wanted to chime in. I don't think they existed then. I don't think they barely existed then.
Yeah.
They were kind of the laughing stock of the industry at the time. They were owned by Disney, and that's what kept them afloat. But they'd never had a hit or anything. So it was kind of like just this, almost like a vanity project or something. Oh, let's have a record label. We're Disney. We're the biggest thing in the world. So they did this offshoot called Hollywood Records. But it was kind of a joke, and nobody wanted us, and we just went with them. They had the money at least, and then all kinds of crazy stuff happened. We were the first band to break on that label.
You guys, so it's been 30 years of the band, which is amazing to me. I mean, time just flies, and before you know it, here we are at 30 years. You just last year you put out Sonic Ranch, latest album, and so the tour. How long do you guys, when you guys set out to tour? Do you have a certain amount of time that you want to make the tour? Do you say we want to tour for maybe 6 months or 8 months, or how do you? Who comes to you and proposes that?
They have the tour booked, and then they say they want you to be on the tour. Do you want to go? And you can't say, I'd like to do New York, LA, Red Rocks. Oh, this is a cool venue in Seattle. You can't like cherry pick or anything.
Yeah. Not
that we would want to either. You just commit to the whole thing. Sometimes it can get long. It's just what it is. You gotta maintain a good frame of mind, because like it or not, you're due on stage at 7 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter how you're feeling. It doesn't matter what's going on in your personal life. I think that's why you hear so many tragic stories. Is that it can get it's a weird way to live. And, we've done all right, but we're not some huge band. I think if you were in some huge band and you were really famous, the pressure would be even bigger. And for you to deliver, if you're the big headliner and everyone knows your name. And I think that's where those tragic stories come from, is 1 minute you're in front of 20,000 people, and the next minute you're on the bus again or at a hotel room by yourself. If your mental state isn't good, I would imagine that exacerbates it to the point where, hey, maybe killing myself would be the way to go, or whatever. Or you're just using drugs and alcohol to numb out. Because showbiz is showbiz. It's not real. That's the important thing. It's not real. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
So if you try to build your life around it, it's a disaster.
Yeah. Well, and your story is really kind of cool. That when All the Pain Money Can Buy kind of really hit big, that you guys were still doing side jobs at that point. And it reminds me a little bit of like I think it was the Black Crowes drummer Steve Gorman said the same thing when Shake Your Moneymaker came out. He was still working in a record store, and he ended up stocking his own album at the time. I'm guessing
everyone.
What was the moment like when you finally when you realized, okay, I can quit the job now and make music my life?
For me, it was. By the way, I've always been very allergic to work, so I had studiously avoided having a job.
Huh.
If I could at all pull it off. If I sleep on someone's couch or whatever, having a job to me seemed like a step in the wrong direction, because then can I get off work to go on to no? You can't have the weekend off. Oh, but we're opening for the Bare Naked Ladies. No, sorry. That kind of thing. I was always trying to avoid that. So I would take jobs that were gigs, basically, and not jobs. And now, lo and behold, the entire country has come around to my way of thinking, Rick, and it's a gig economy. No one has a real job anymore. It's all Uber and Lyft and DoorDash.
and TikTok, and
it's a gig,
millions
it's a
on
gig
TikTok.
Economy.
Yeah,
it's a gig economy, man. That was what I had. So I was an extra. I had moved to LA because I didn't think the band. I thought, well, we had a record in the can, but I didn't know if it was going to come out. And I thought, oh, if this doesn't come out, yeah, that's probably it, So I'd moved to LA. A friend of mine had bought a house, and in keeping with my couch surfing, I was like, oh, okay, can I crash at your place? And he's like, yeah, I got this basement. It's unfinished, but you can live there. So I was living rent free in LA, and then he was a cameraman on picket fences. And I asked him if can you get me some extra work? And so I was juror number 7 on picket fences, and then I was on Hill Street Blues, and I was on a few other. Yeah, I was an extra on a few shows, and I was working on one really crappy one. And I decided, the way you make all your money as an extra is if the production gets into trouble and goes overtime, then they start paying you really good.
Mm-hmm.
And if they go past 16 hours, they start paying you your day rate every hour.
Wow.
So if I was making 80 bucks a day, which is pretty much what you'd make, I started making it every hour.
Huh.
And so we were getting to that point in the production of this particular show where they were having lots of problems. And they said, does anybody want to leave? And I raised my hand and said, I do. And on the way home, I just kept thinking, why did you do that? We need that money. Why did you leave? It was just about to get good. And when I got back to my friend's house, there was a message on the machine, and it said, the Way has been added to this station in St. Louis, and they're playing it 50 times a week. And I remember taking the martini glass down from the thing and pouring myself a martini and saying, I'm never going to work again. And I never have since that day.
Amazing.
So
that's so cool. What a great story. And you know what? And you mentioned that when The Way came out, so I've been doing radio for, God, it's been over 30 years now. And so when The Way came out in 98, I was at a rock station here in Syracuse, a different station, and I remember, you remember we used to get all the promotional CDs would come to us, and back in the glory days when you actually had physical media, and we all got a copy of the CD, and a music director went around and handed them out. So, what do you think of this song? And we all started listening to it. We all went, "Oh my God, that's catchy as hell! Like this is gonna be good." We added it, and like you said, probably played it. I mean, I couldn't put a number on it, but it seemed like we played it every 2 hours. And I remember the reaction from listeners and the reaction from people in the building, and it just exploded. And if it was doing that for us, I can imagine it's doing that to every radio station in the country, and with every listener that's hearing it. And the song just itself, we still listen to it today. It still gets played today. And you guys had, obviously, Tony wrote the song about the couple in Texas that disappeared. My question to you is, have you ever had any kind of contact with that family, with the family of the people that disappeared? Have they reached out to you?
They didn't reach out, but Tony has met them because some guy wanted to do a documentary. And I guess you can see it on YouTube. It's not very, he didn't make much of a splash with it or whatever. I don't know. But Tony did meet the family and talk to them and everything. And then this guy, Mr. Ballin, or some guy online, excuse me, he dedicated a whole episode. I guess this guy's very popular. I don't know who he is. But you can Google him. Anyways, he did an episode about The Way and the story behind the song, and we saw a big bump on our YouTube of people going, I just heard the story on Ballin's show and can't believe it. I didn't know there was a story behind the song. So that got a lot of people coming around. But the thing is, the story is just the jumping off point. It's not really like, hey, this story is all about this couple. It's not. Because Tony didn't know if they were alive or dead. They were just missing.
Yeah. At
the point that he finished the song. And so it's more about freedom and escape than it is about that. That was just the jumping off point.
So you guys, we're talking with Miles Zuniga from Fastball. And Miles, you guys, I think, are in, if I read correctly, you guys are in Raleigh tonight?
Yeah. We just got here.
So it's got to be 150 degrees down there. I've got friends down there.
I don't know. I actually haven't been off the bus as you can see. I'm still. I just got out of my bunk, crawled out of my bunk, and lo and behold, it was time to do this interview. I have no idea what the weather is here, but I will soon, shortly.
It has to be it's got to be at least 100 down there today because it's close to that here. How do you guys manage that? You go out on stage and you play in a climate like this where it's high humidity and high heat. And I know, like you mentioned, you're only doing it for a half an hour. But that has to take an effect on have an effect on the tuning of your guitars and
Oh yeah.
and the equipment in certain ways. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, that can be a nightmare. Yeah. Well, sometimes the guitar has a mind of its own. If the humidity's high like that, and then it's just a nightmare because we're a 3-piece band, so like, and I'm the only guitarist, and so like if things start to go bad,
Yeah.
But we've been very lucky this tour. The way you deal with it is you leave your guitar out there the whole time. You do not want to move that guitar. You do not want to bring it into the bus where it's 69 degrees.
Yeah.
It just wreaks havoc it's made of wood and wire, and that stuff needs a stable temperature. If you leave it out there the whole time, the guitar's like a person. It'll acclimate to wherever you leave it. Eventually it'll settle into a groove, but the trick is leave it out there from like 3 to 7, for 4 hours. Just leave it. As far as on the person, you got to stay hydrated, and you got to just, we're not the Rockettes. It's not like there's a lot of dance moves or stuff. So it's all right. We're just a rock band. It's all right. There's not a lot of choreography. It's okay. But yeah, again, this is how things go wrong in showbiz, Rick, is that people drink too much and party too much and do a bunch of drugs. Then they get out there in the 100-degree heat, and it's predictable what's going to happen next.
I can imagine. Well, Miles Zuniga, listen, I'll let you get back to it because I know you just got up and you got a day ahead of you. You got a show coming tonight. So, listen, I really appreciate your time. We're going to see you next week. The Empower Federal Credit Union Amphitheater with you guys and Bare Naked Ladies and Sugar Ray. Should be an amazing show, and really looking forward to seeing you in town. And thanks for a few minutes of your time today.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
You as well.